Hey everybody, welcome to Rock and Roll Shin-Soo, episode number 38. Glad to be with you. My name is Gabe Estel, and I'm here with my co-hosts Dennis Levi Leach and Jonathan Getz. How's it going, guys?
Season's greetings.
Season's greetings.
Happy solstice.
Yep, that's right. Merry Crapmas, everybody. So, good to be back. Yes, so as we wind down 2015 here, hope everybody's having a good holiday season so far. And we've got a lot of stuff to talk about because the year is winding down. We're going to talk about some of our favorite records here in just a little bit. But since we last met with you, a lot has gone down in the baseball world because we're probably about halfway through kind of the hot stove period, maybe a little more than halfway through. The winter meetings have happened. And lo and behold, Levi got a couple early Christmas presents.
I did.
In the form of Justin Hayward and Ben Zobrist. And I guess John Lackey as
Lackey,
well.
three. The three wise men have
three
come.
Christmas presents.
The three wise men have come down on high and were gifted to
That Lackey Christmas present only has like a 2-year warranty on it.
Yeah, right.
He was the wise man that brought myrrh. He was the one that had myrrh. They're like,
That's okay. Now, so are you pretty pleased with all those moves, Levi?
Well, okay. I was doing some numbers, and it's projected it would be $272 million for three players, and that's Zobrist at $56 million for 4 years, Hayward at $184 million for 8 years, and Lackey at $32 million for 2 years. So,
yeah, obviously there's one big contract.
The money is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is this the biggest Cubs contract ever?
I think the Hayward one is. Yeah.
Certainly it beats Soriano's, right?
Yeah. Is it bigger than Lester's deal? Lester was 7 years. I don't know the annual amount though. He's got to be getting at least like 23 or 24 million a year.
I'll check it.
Yeah. I mean, when it all went down, the first thing that pops into my head as a negative Cubs fan is like the pressure's going to be
on.
so intense. So, like if it wasn't
the spotlight is all on the Cubs this year.
Yeah, and so part of me just hopes that they can handle that because I mean,
it's a young bunch.
It also could be a recipe for failure. You know what I mean? Just because you have a lot of talent always doesn't mean you have a lot of championships. But it's looking good. I don't want to jinx it. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
A lot of the talk over the last couple days that I've noticed on the wire is that I didn't realize Fowler's agent is the same agent as Hayward's. And so
really?
Some people are talking about Fowler coming back to the Cubs, which I think would be interesting because...
Where would he play? Would he be a fourth outfielder? I think it's too expensive for a fourth outfielder.
Exactly. They would have to drop somebody. So basically, I think it comes down to the fact that if they don't move Soler, they're not gonna try for Fowler in my mind. Mm-hmm. But if they did move Soler for pitching, they could then bring Fowler in for another. Like I think he wants 2 years at $30 million or something, and the Cubs just don't want to give him that.
Sure.
Because he did have a career year and a bunch of figures, but he's
a leadoff guy with pop too.
Yeah.
You don't always get that. So
yeah, he's 30, so I mean he's on the back end of his career.
Yeah. Is Hayward your leadoff guy now? Does Hayward project to be the leadoff guy?
I think if they don't sign Fowler, yeah. Could you
Hayward
imagine?
Leads off?
He could
for the Cubs.
I mean, he's got some speed. I mean, I know,
he's known for speed. I think if the Cubs didn't sign Fowler, I think you could consider, knowing Joe Madden, I think for sure he would sometimes play Hayward as...
He's not afraid to pull unorthodox moves.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, I guess he had 23 stolen bases last year, 359 OBP.
Okay.
Yeah, he might not be necessarily the ideal leadoff guy.
No.
But I think he could. Yeah.
Well, I think at that point, you know what I mean?
Maybe Zobrist.
I was going to say, yeah, Zobrist. And that's the thing. There's so many bats now in the Cubs lineup.
Yeah.
It's like
Got an enviable problem.
Well, yeah, it's like where do you bat guys? Like, what's the lineup really going to look like?
Instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 pitcher.
Right?
Yeah. Well, good luck, man. I mean,
no, yeah, it's a lot of pressure.
You got a lot of weapons in the arsenal there.
Oh.
Yeah. I could see them getting another pitcher. If they did do that Fowler thing, I could see them trading. I guess it would be Soler, right?
Yeah. That's the word is on the street. They're trying to trade Soler for some pitching.
Yeah. I don't blame them if they did that. So yeah, I could see that happening. Yeah.
I mean, in my mind, that means I think they project Baez to be a little higher than Soler, and that's why they're trying to keep him.
Yeah, and Soler is could be a really good starting outfielder somewhere else. If
oh yeah, he would be an everyday.
He's an everyday guy. Yeah, definitely. And he's still, I assume he's
young.
He's under 27, I would assume. Yeah, if not under 25, I don't know. Well, yeah, man. So yeah, God, the Cubs are just so loaded, dude. I'm
trying to tell myself it's not a dream.
Yeah,
This is like me trying to build a team on MVP 2005.
right. Which, speaking of which, man, ever since I switched to Windows 10, I can't get it to work.
It's
no!
Just buy an old computer just to play it.
Right.
Yeah.
Man, I should just go back to Windows 7 or something. But
anyway, no.
There's workarounds, but I'm not tech savvy enough to mess with my registry and things like that.
Yeah.
There's some major geeks out there.
You're an MS-DOS.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Doing commands.
Exactly. But anyway, so it's probably best that I'm not playing it. Increase the productivity. But anyway,
so yeah, you would have to load up your White Sox with a bunch of catchers at this point. If you were...
I would, yeah, right. So yeah, hopefully Alex Avila, maybe I'm comeback player of the year. Let's hope.
Avila and Deoner Navarro.
Deoner Navarro, yeah, they're going to share comeback player of the year honors. Yeah, it's weird. I mean, I shouldn't say it's weird because the White Sox do this. So you
got Frazier.
We did. I was excited about that, but just in what I heard on sports radio and just kind of the social media, there's a lot of ambivalence around the move just because there's a lot of complaining right now that the White Sox don't have a long-term plan in place. We don't have a strong farm system. And the strategy that we have last year and then now this year has kind of been sort of painting the margins, not really, the whole picture isn't really there. We're probably not as good as the moves we're making. You know what I mean? We
would imply. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So, I mean, somebody I don't remember who it was. Somebody called in to sports radio, and one opinion that he offered that I thought it was a good way to put it. He's like, I've been a fan for somebody from the South Side, older. They're like, I've been a fan for 45 years. They're like, I'd rather have them be unintentionally bad than intentionally bad. The White Sox have always been, at least under Kenny Williams' tenure, always afraid to say the R word, the rebuild word. So we make these moves that
they're kind of like Band-Aids.
Yeah, right. They are. That's a good analogy. They're kind of like Band-Aids. They don't fix the whole problem, which is no long-term plan, no plan to be competitive, like the Royals did or the Cubs did, or probably you could say the Astros are doing now as well, and maybe even the Twins too. So but that said, I've said it on this podcast before. I've always really liked Todd Frazier. I like the way he plays. I think he's got a good attitude. I like, I'm a sucker for a third corner infielder with some pop. He's relatively cheap too. He's I think like 7 million, 7.4 million, something like that is what he's set to make seven and some change. this year, which I think is kind of a steal for Todd Frazier. And then we also solidified the infield a little bit more as well with getting Brett Lowry. And we didn't give up much, for Lowry. For Frazier, we gave up some guys that, I don't know. We had this kid last year, and unless you're a White Sox fan, you probably didn't hear much about him, named Trace Thompson. He's actually the guy
Klay Thompson's brother, right?
It's Klay Thompson's brother.
Yeah, the basketball player.
Klay Thompson. Yeah, the guy from the Warriors. Yeah, it's his brother, right? Which is what he's known for, mainly, right? Being Klay Thompson's brother. And he had a really good he had a really good numbers in limited play, but he was included in this deal. He actually ended up going to the Dodgers. It was a 3-team trade between Cincinnati, the White Sox, and L.A. And so we sent him, another guy named Micah Johnson, who's a stolen base threat, but I don't really know if he's a guy that can hit big league pitching, and his defense isn't any good. And there's a guy named Frankie Montas who projected to be a starter for us, but he'll probably just be in the bullpen in LA. So, we gave up sort of some of our kind of more, our pieces that had big league experience. But I don't know, man. I mean, all those guys could become nothing, I mean, if we get 2 years out of Frazier like he hit last year, at least during the first half, I'm cool with that.
And he'll be trade bait.
And he'll be trade bait, exactly. Yeah, so there's 2 years on the deal, or actually 1 year and an option. So, if we look like we're out of it next year, just flip him and
send
move
him to
on.
the Yankees and
right, exactly. So I like the move. I mean, I like it because I mean, maybe I'm a little biased just because I like Frazier and glad to see him on my team now.
Are you whittling the starting lineup?
I'm starting to. Yeah, right.
Ordered your block of plastic from Kenner.
And then you tell me that, we might be in on Gordon, and it's like, man, I guess they think we're really going to be able to win this year, and I don't know if I mean, the Royals I don't really think are going to be any worse. I don't know if they're going to win the World Series again, but
the odds aren't with them.
No. Minnesota is getting better, I think.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of young talent there.
Geez, that team's 2 years ahead of schedule based on everybody predicted them to finish dead last.
Well, like I said, like the Cubs, the Royals, and the Astros were the young teams last year. This year it's going to be the Twins, I think.
Yeah.
They seem to be. Molitor seems to have a good handle on things as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then Cleveland, who knows? And then Detroit, they're aging, but
still Detroit. They got one of the best hitters in baseball.
Yeah, I mean they still got Cabrera. I mean they signed Zimmerman, so they maybe didn't replace Price quite the level of Price there, but they got a good pitcher. So
yeah.
I don't know. I'm a little confused or perplexed just because even with these moves of Lowry and Frazier, it doesn't catapult us to the top of the AL Central,
Yeah. It's like they're just trying to kind of build a veteran core.
Yeah, veteran
piece
core.
It together.
When, as I said last podcast, and I've been saying for the last few months, the best thing this franchise could do, for its future is to have more than a 2-year plan, is to trade Chris Sale. I mean, that's I mean, if we traded Chris Sale and maybe even we traded a guy, Jose Quintana, who's quietly been one of the better starters in the AL, better number 2, 3 guys. We could get a lot for those guys. They're both in the prime of their careers, but that doesn't look like that. The logic instead is, I think with the management, they think, if we don't stock up, we're wasting the careers of 2 good young pitchers, 1 great young pitcher.
Right.
Yeah.
And so if you're in the hunt for the wild card next year, and all of a sudden you have, one of the best pitchers in the league to start a wild card game, then all of a sudden it's like, oh, so that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
You know? So because you do kind of have the pitching in a way, so.
Yeah, I like Rodon too. I think he kind of got overshadowed because there were some other good rookie years. particularly in Chicago, on the other side of town. But for a kid that didn't make very many minor league starts, to throw him out there, he had a pretty good rookie year.
Yeah.
And I think he's only going to get better. So, so I'm a little confused. I guess confused maybe isn't the right word. Just kind of perplexed. Like I just don't know how it's going to shake out. We could fight for a wild card spot, but I right now I see us as like a 81 and 81. I mean, I see them maybe this puts them to 500. They won 76 games last year. I could maybe see with these moves they made, they win 80 games, 81 games.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Well, I looked up Lester's contract. He's at 6 years for 155 million. So
that's what's left, right?
Yeah, Hayward definitely passes that.
Yeah. So yeah, it probably is the biggest Cubs contract ever.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see. And then the is there? I'm trying to think.
The Royals,
all the aces are off the board. Go ahead, though. I'm sorry.
What were you saying about the aces?
Well, all of the Price, Cueto,
Yeah.
Zimmerman, and Greinke, obviously. All those guys, all those names have come off the board now.
Yeah.
Samardzija found a home, so
What's going on it?
Mike Leake got signed.
The Royals are now being tied, or saying it said the Royals are interested in Wai-Yin Chin from the Orioles.
Oh yeah,
which would be more than what they would usually take on.
Yeah.
Though they've also been linked to Giovanni Gallardo and Scott Kazmir. Two guys still out there. Ian Kennedy. Anybody?
he didn't have a good year, but if he's looking just for like a 1-year deal on a bounce back, I'm kind of intrigued by Matt Latos.
Yeah.
I mean, he played for the Marlins last year. Let's keep that in mind, and
and the Angels.
And the Angels and the Dodgers too. Yeah. So yeah, he had like probably his worst year last year, but he's only 27. To me, it's like that would be a guy totally worth like just a chance, why not? Like just a 1-year deal to rebuild his value to just throw him at the back of the rotation, see what happens, you know?
Yeah, that could work.
He'd be a project that I would be willing to take on, So anyway, there you go. You got either one of you guys could get him to solidify the back of your rotation.
No, I want us to take a flyer on Lincecum. I think the Royals should take a flyer on Lincecum.
Lincecum's still out there, right?
He would look good in a Royals.
Yeah.
He's another one too. Like he might just Lincecum might just get a 1-year deal.
Probably. Maybe a 2-year deal. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Probably one.
But yeah, so there's some interesting kind of like projects, you know what I mean, out there. Like, who can revive Tim Lincecum? Like who can salvage Matt Latos? There's some interesting. I like sort of angles like that and stories like that. So
did we mention the Cardinals aren't any of our teams, but they signed Mike Leake.
Yeah, right.
And so I think they were kind of grasping at straws because they've missed out on some people. But I say that obviously
they missed out on Hayward. Yeah.
I'm a Cubs fan, but one of the things that's come out now in the last day or so is that at his press conference, Hayward was talking about the reasons basically why he chose Chicago over St. Louis. And now Mike Matheny's like all mad about it. And
right.
It's because he said they're old. He said Yadier Molina doesn't have a lot of time left. Holiday doesn't got a lot of time left.
Wainwright doesn't have a lot of time left.
Yeah. Right. And so he was like and so Matheny's taken like great disrespect at that for some reason.
Yeah, and that's a bad approach, Just take the high road and just say, glad he played here. Good luck in Chicago. That's all you need to say.
I agree. He's had a bit of sour grapes, but Deadspin is really running with it and milking it because obviously if they can hate on the Cardinals, they're gonna on Deadspin, and so they were giving him a little bit more grief than he deserved, I thought. But
I think so too.
But no, he does have a bit of sour grapes with it.
Yeah. So we'll see where the hot stove takes us. If the Royals don't get Gordon, what's the plan, Jonathan? What's plan B?
Gerardo Parra.
From he played
Miami.
for Baltimore last year.
Baltimore and the Marlins.
He's modeled a few uniforms.
Yeah.
Diamondbacks, I think, for a little while. No, he's I know who you're talking about. He was a guy that I don't know much about, but he's younger than I thought he was. You know what
30.
I mean? Is he 30 already?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry, he's 28.
All right. Yeah. Yeah. What is he looking? Is he looking for a big deal? I mean.
No. I mean, he's a mid-tier outfielder. He's got a solid glove. He batted .291, 14 home run, 51 RBI last year.
That's all right.
They're mainly. I think it's important that he has a good glove and that line is comparable to Gordon, quite honestly.
Yeah.
And he would be cheaper than Gordon.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gordon projects we're looking at a 5-year deal at least.
Yeah.
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 So.
Yeah. Probably 5 years, $100 million.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Well, we'll see. I'm sure next time we chat, we'll probably have a little bit of a clearer idea of the kind of where we are going into spring training. Groovy. So now, briefly here, I want to talk about Shift to Rock and Roll. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductees were announced earlier this week, and the inductees are Cheap Trick, Deep Purple, NWA. And then, who else we've got here? I'm sorry.
Chicago.
It's
Chicago.
yeah.
And then there's one more, right?
Yeah.
It was like they took one of the pages out of my 200 binder of CDs.
Yeah.
One of my 200 binders, and they took a page of those CDs out from 1994.
Right.
It had NWA,
in 94.
NWA, Steve Miller Band.
Yeah.
Chicago.
Well, I mean, obviously, we've talked about on the show here before. I think all of us have some ambivalence around the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Absolutely. Just, is it really even necessary? You
have to roll with it. Yeah.
Yeah, you do. I like all these inductees. I do. I feel like Cheap Trick have been kind of unsung heroes of rock, their whole career. So I was glad to see them get in, particularly, they're Rockford guys as well, Good to see that. I've never been one of those people that says, even though I don't really like the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I've never been one of those people rappers can't get in. I don't buy that, maybe it should be called just, the Popular Music Hall of Fame, but rap has its roots in rock and roll. They might not, Cheap Trick and NWA don't necessarily sound alike, but they're Chuck Berry's kind of responsible for both of them if you trace it back, I mean, so I've never been one of those people that rap can't make it in. I think that's bullshit.
Well, no, I mean they've already set that precedent that it doesn't have to be three guitars and
I'm glad to see it. My arguments against NWA, if I just had to pick, and I think Straight Outta Compton is a masterpiece. I think it's it's one of the most politically charged albums ever. And it blew my mind when I heard it for the first time in 5th grade. I didn't know you could say that stuff on
You're like, they can put that on tape?
Yeah,
Tipper Gore.
Yeah, but the thing I would make against NWA is the same thing I'd make against Guns N' Roses is it's just one iconic album.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
NWA had a follow-up that was kind of disappointing. They put out an EP that was just an EP. And then, with Guns, it's like, I Use Your Illusion. I do really love a lot of songs on those records, but it's bloated. It should just be an LP. So it's like, I don't know. Mine would be like not the genre, like rap, fine, whatever. It's just like, how many good albums do they? How many like classic albums do they have? With NWA, it's only one.
Yeah.
I mean, and all of those people not all, well, yeah, like just about all those people in NWA, at least Dre and Ice Cube and Easy went on to do other things that were, important.
And I think don't you think that's part of it?
Probably, I mean, because
a legacy factor.
It's an umbrella induction.
They're kind of inducting Dr. Dre as well,
right?
Right.
If none of those guys went on to have any careers, NWA is not getting inducted.
Right. If they were all MC Ren, no, this might not be happening. Right. With all due respect, Ren, seriously.
Yeah.
But yeah. So what do you guys make of the nominees?
Like I said, it's very like WYMG 100.5 classic rock. Like
it is.
Like they pulled a bunch of classic rock DJs.
It's a 2 for Tuesday induction.
Yeah. It was like, we could get Steve Miller Band, Cheap Trick,
Yeah.
The one I think that totally deserves it the most, besides Cheap Trick, is Deep Purple.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the thing that's messed up is that they're pulling the Kiss shit with them, where like Steve Morse isn't going to be allowed to be inducted, and Steve Morse,
really?
He's like the longest tenured guitarist now.
Yeah, he's been in with them for over 20 years.
Yeah.
And so, they're doing the thing where it's like only going to be so many of the original members that get allowed in.
Yeah, that is weird how they have to play that out.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm the biggest Grateful Dead fan, but I think we mentioned this before. The Grateful Dead, it's like roadies' names are on the plaque and shit.
Yeah, they inducted everybody.
It's like there's like everybody, every keyboardist, every drummer, everybody's on there.
Well, so like, is Coverdale not getting in then?
I don't know about Coverdale.
Wow.
I bet it's probably just like the Machine Head lineup if they're inducting like a lineup.
Yeah. I thought that was disappointing though. Yeah.
Because I prefer Coverdale over Gillian. That's just me. Yeah, I agree with Deep Purple, man. I mean, one of the most important hard rock bands ever. Like, I would say just as important as Led Zeppelin, just maybe not quite the catalog of Led Zeppelin, the quality of it.
Consistency,
but, yeah, the consistency of it. But just as important. I mean, Deep Purple influenced so many people. And, like, I don't think a lot of people that don't listen to them realize how huge Deep Purple was in the 70s.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they were
especially giant, yeah.
Like stadiums, like, I mean, they were, they headlined the California Jam in '74, I mean, they were gigantic. And, even switching lead singers those couple years of Coverdale, they were still huge, they were able to do that and still just really successful. And then, you got, one of the most, influential and iconic hard rock guitarist all time in Blackmore, I mean,
right.
Yeah. So I think Purple is long overdue, if they're going to,
if
the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is going to go by influence, they should have got in about 15 years ago,
Yep.
Yeah. So,
when I look at the list, I can't help but think about who they're electing and who they're not compared to who they're not electing in.
Yeah.
And it's surprising that, if, for example, Thin Lizzy and T-Rex, neither one of those bands have made it. And that's maybe it's just personal taste, but I feel like, maybe those are a couple influences that haven't been recognized yet or represented as much with the Hall of Fame inductees.
Yeah.
Television, yes, obviously is a
I mean,
big
like
omission.
it's a critic thing, I think, with Yes. I mean, so many people so many critics hated prog,
and that's the problem. That this has to be considered in what are they setting out to do. What is the band setting out to do, and that's why I won't sit here and like bash Katy Perry, because I think, what is she setting out to do? And as long as she executes it, then great. Then she's good at her job. Yeah. And so for a critic to like hold it against them that they weren't gonna, that they were, in this genre of prog rock is really silly, and then that person shouldn't even be considered. It'd be like a baseball Hall of Fame guy. I don't like second basemen. I don't think they're necessary.
That's exactly what it's
so left-handed pitchers, no.
I mean, you're going to see some incredibly talented people never get in. I mean, like I don't know. I'll throw another one, like Emerson, Lake and Palmer,
right?
Right. Yeah, I mean.
Well, and a lot of the candidates this year, it almost seems like it's a catch-up year.
Yeah,
like they're trying to get caught up. They're like, these, like Cheap Trick, like Steve Miller Band. You would have thought he probably would have already been in it, but
yeah, I thought he was. Honestly.
He's one that I'm kind of like a little ambivalent towards. I like Steve Miller Band,
right?
But I don't know how influential Steve Miller Band
right.
is.
Yeah.
I think what's tainting Steve Miller to me is just I've heard his popular singles too many times.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
that's not his fault.
Yeah, it's not. It's not at all. It's not at all.
And I love Living in the USA, man. I can jam Living in the USA anytime.
But it feels like a guilty pleasure every time I hear a Steve Miller song and enjoy it on the radio. It's like, God, I shouldn't still enjoy it.
I don't turn off Swingtown. I
Jump the Love, man.
Yeah. Yeah,
the guy was a hit factory for a while.
Right,
sure.
right.
Oh, that Greatest Hits 74 to 78 is like one of the best-selling albums of all time.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
I think that was a Columbia House buy for me, I believe.
Everybody's got that one. Well, let's shift gears here to our heart of the order to talk about the albums that came out this year as opposed to the ones that came out in 1973.
Our future rock and roll Hall of Famers.
Right. There we go.
Well, I kind of have a segue into one of my top records of the year and Deep Purple. So,
right. So,
and to go ahead and clarify.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, your approach, Levi, it's a little different than ours.
Well, okay. I'm going to run over like 2 or 3 records that are new, and then I'm going to talk about the best finds of the year that I had. And I'm an avid vinyl collector, for those out there that don't know. So I'm going to highlight my top 5 record bin finds. Mm-hmm. But first I'm going to talk about a few new records. There's a band called Mondo Dragon. They had their self-titled record this year. And if you're into Deep Purple or Uriah Heep, you will absolutely love this record.
I'm into both of those bands.
So if you have not heard it, you need to. And then Kamasi Washington's record, of course, was awesome. I loved it. And then that Mondo Drag, their record label is called Riding Easy Records.
Yeah.
They released a really cool compilation called Brown Acid, The First Trip. Mm-hmm. And it's a compilation of all these like weird stoner rock, like if you're into Deep Purple or Black Sabbath type music, like all these weird obscure 45 singles that they put onto a compilation.
Nice.
And then there were I bought a few reissues this year. I'll highlight them.
Real quick, Levi. You said Riding Easy Records.
Riding Easy Records.
There's a band I like a lot on that label, Electric Citizen. But anyway, yeah. Female lead singer.
They have a great Instagram. If you're on IG, you should definitely follow Riding Easy Records.
Cool.
The reissues I got this year, the Beta Band, their first 3 EPs, they finally re-released them on vinyl. They're awesome. Sunvolt's Trace, it got
the anniversary one, right?
Yeah, it's excellent. Mo, they released some of the early Mo. I got Fat Boy and Tin Cans and Car Tires on vinyl, which I had wanted to have on vinyl for a while.
I listened to the shit out of that record.
Tin Cans, Car Tires, yeah.
Oh, dude, and it's on red and white vinyl. It's excellent, guys. Nice. If you're, obviously I'm not listening to Mo at the amount that I did, but I could still listen to that album.
Jesus, I wonder if I still have that. I may have gotten rid of it.
Dude, Plane Crash rips, man.
Oh, dude, the whole album is excellent.
Yeah, Nebraska's a great song.
Really Nebraska's probably my favorite cut on there.
Oh, yeah.
And Nebraska's well written. You know what I mean? You don't
it's a good
always
song.
think of writers in that genre. And Nebraska's it's a well-written tune.
Yeah.
And then the last reissues, I don't I didn't buy them. I have the originals, but I just want to give a shout out to the Robinson brothers who finally got their effing ass together and re-released the first Black Crowes records on vinyl. Shake Your Moneymaker, Southern Harmony, and Morica. And Three Snakes is supposed to be coming, but it's now gotten pushed to like January, so who knows. But the first three actually came out. And I just want to say it is important because they were on record lists when I first started working at a record shop, like over 10 years ago. As like the new releases, like we would get the order sheets and stuff, and they've been on there almost like on and off for 10 years.
Wow. Come on, Pete Angelus, what are you doing?
And so, yeah, it really is a big deal that those came out. And okay, so my top 5 used finds of the year. I go to little record shops. I go to little flea market, antique mall booths that have records. I go to a lot of different places. My first one is a 45. It was a 45 of the band The Champs and their biggest hit, Tequila. And it's the original 45, and it was in its original brown paper sleeve, and it looks like it was never played, which is amazing because anytime I've come across it like 3 or 4 times. I mean, it's not a super rare 45, but to find it in like really good condition is tough. So I was stoked for that. Number 4, Bela Fleck's Deviation record. And this is Bela Fleck when he was just going solo, and he still had Newgrass Revival, Sam Bush, those out there into bluegrass. So they're the band on it with him. It's just like a lesson in bluegrass music, in playing, and just it's excellent. If you're into bluegrass music, I highly recommend it.
We should do a Newgrass episode sometime, you know?
Yeah, there's definitely a time and a place for it. It's
I can't listen to it every day. No.
Into that vein from my fusion.
Yeah.
Like, I was on a fusion kick for a while, and then it kind of took me into like that. It's like bluegrass fusion almost.
I can't listen to Sam Bush every day.
No. My number 3 was in the matter of about 3 days at 2 different shops, I fell into like a vein of Rory Gallagher, and I didn't have any.
Really?
I would find
there's no Irish tour in your album collection.
Now there is. Now there is. Yeah, within the matter of like 3 days, I got Live in Europe, Irish tour, Blueprint, and then his greatest hits. And the greatest hits was sealed. Like somebody bought it and never opened it. Yeah. And so, yeah, I've just indulged myself in Rory Gallagher ever since. But when I would come across his records, they would always be beat. You don't see a ton of Rory Gallagher, believe it or not. Like, at least I don't.
His fans are devout.
So to come across him and have him be in good shape was awesome. And then find number 2, Jimi Hendrix mono tricolor labeled Are You Experience, like the creme de la creme, like best copy of his first record you can have as far as like rarity and scarcity. And so it's in awesome shape. It's probably in like, if you're into record nerd grading, it's like EX near mint.
Nice.
And I pulled it out of a Goodwill here locally.
Wow.
I walked into the Goodwill, and there's like a little section with books and CDs and some records. And a lady's like pushing a cart with like totes on it, like to add stuff to that section. And I was like, oh, do you have any records? And she's like, yeah, there's some in this tote on the cart. Here, you can look at them. And like in the middle of the stack, boom, there it was. And I was just like you
get lightheaded.
Yeah, no, you get lightheaded. You're like, oh my God. I pulled the rec, like the cover was awesome, so I like didn't hesitate.
Did you know immediately what it was?
I knew any mono copy of that record was worth pretty good money.
Did you immediately know it was mono?
Yeah, it's marked.
Oh, okay.
And so the outside is marked in mono at the top of the label, and then the label on the actual record is marked mono. And so I pulled the record thinking, oh, dude, it's got to be beat. Because you never find Jimi Hendrix vintage records like that. And it wasn't. And it had a $2 price tag on it. So
Wow.
yeah, somebody was looking out for me that day. And then if it can it somehow, can I top that? Right? You're thinking? My number one find, it was like 2 weeks after we moved here to Colorado. There's a little town right by us called Windsor. And I went to a yard sale there, and because it said on Craigslist they had records. So I go there, and in a box of records I'm thumbing through is the Beatles' Yesterday and Today record. And for those of you that don't know, it's called the Butcher cover album because it got banned, the photo of the Beatles and babies all over them. Well, this is what's called a second state copy, which is it has the baby photo, the baby doll part photo, and it has the photo they put a new photo, they censored it and like pasted it over. Well, you can see like on one section, you can clearly see the cover underneath of the baby doll photo. And it's probably the most expensive record I own now.
Wow.
You found this at a yard sale.
At a yard sale.
Jesus.
It's in like average condition.
Right.
It's not awful, it's not mint.
But it's still the most valuable record you own.
Yeah. It's now, it absolutely is at the top of the list.
Jesus, man. This kid knows how to find them.
Now,
Good God.
There's no rhyme or reason to it. You just got to dig. You just got to be out there.
Sure.
Yeah.
Great unexpected finds, man.
Okay.
Oh yeah,
Shit.
yeah. My year of finds of 2015. I don't know if I'll have a year that tops this.
Wow.
I mean, I hope so. I mean, in all honesty, those top two records are probably worth like a couple grand.
Also, I want to mention everybody for our listeners who are on Instagram. Levi is at Vinyl Beast, so you can follow him there, and he's always posting good album pics. So, yeah, an FYI.
Yeah, check it out.
Wanted to mention that. Yeah, awesome, man. Awesome.
Yeah, solid year.
Yeah, no shit.
Yeah, I can't complain, man.
Excellent. Gosh. Well, I didn't find anything like that. But,
Right? Take your breath away.
but I do like the Courtney Barnett record a lot. That I streamed. But anyway, so yeah. Well, Jonathan, I'll let you go, man. What some of your favorites?
Yeah, I had a hard time whittling it down, and I can thank RDO for helping me find all. Yeah, rest in peace. Helping me find all of this new music in 2015, and probably 35 albums that I was that I think are really solid records that I discovered this year. And I whittled it down to 6. I couldn't whittle it down to 5. I couldn't do it. And,
6 is always nice when you can.
Well, and God bless it. It was a really good year for. I mean, there was a lot of good new music that did come out. There were guys on Instagram doing like top 150 albums of the year. I'm like, how are they pulling this?
Right. Jeez. How do you know 134 versus 133?
Yeah, right. Yeah, because mine aren't going to be ranked. I'm just
5
that I liked.
My favorite one is the one I'm listening to at that very moment, so it changes.
Sure. Same here. I've gone back and forth a lot over the last few days.
So I whittled it down to 6, and it turns out, and it's totally by accident, I didn't do it on purpose, they're all from different countries.
Okay.
So the first one from Finland is Jaakko Aino Kalevi.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah, I'm just guessing how to pronounce it.
I'm sorry.
He kind of looks like Shannon Hoon, but it's this hazy electronic music that this year I got a bit into that. I hadn't before.
I like all this.
And so I highly recommend people check out Jaakko. It's Jaakko. Just Google that and music, and you'll find him. He from Finland. It's self-titled release. Jane Weaver from England. She's been in some kind of like folk bands, but it's kind of like dreamy. And I saw the word radiophonic folk. And this album that came out, The Amber Light, is actually a supplement to her actual last album called the Silver Globe. So the Silver Globe comes out in 2014, and in 2015 they re-released the Silver Globe with this companion piece that has some like remixes and some instrumentals versions of Silver Globe, and it's called the Amber Light, and I really dig it, and can't get enough of it. And so go figure, it's like the companion piece to our other record, yet I like it kind of more than that record. And then moving in the United Kingdom there, from Ireland is an artist called Soak. She's like maybe 17, it looks like. An album called Before We Forgot How to Dream, which is it's the songwriting is so phenomenal, and she's so young, and it like makes you angry that she's so talented.
Yeah, I think that one was in my RDO queue, but now that RDO's gone,
yeah,
I'll have to go
highly recommend it.
Okay.
Soak, and Soak with a period at the end for some reason. From the representing the United States, band from San Francisco called Two Gallants. And album called We Are Undone. I think it's one of the finest rock and roll records of the year. Great guitars on that record.
I listened to that. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
For two guys, they make a pretty big sound.
Yeah, they do. Absolutely. Gabe, an album you mentioned that I'll let you go into a little bit more. Courtney Barnett's Sometimes I Sit and Think, and Sometimes I Just Sit. Courtney Barnett from Australia. Is again I think one of the finest rock and roll records probably this year, if not the last few years, and I was fortunate enough to catch her this year as well, live here in Kansas City. I think Courtney Barnett's prospects as being like one of the most, probably could be like one of the most important rock and roll songwriters for the next 10 years very easily.
Yeah.
But my favorite record, I think, of the year from Canada is Patrick Watson, Love Songs for Robots. And it's hard to describe. He's kind of got pieces of Jeff Buckley in there, pieces of David Bowie, Grantley Phillips, kind of. And it's very, like, it puts me in this... every time I listen to it, I feel like I'm in like a dimly lit, plush red velvet room, very hazy. And but Patrick Watson before has won the Polaris Music Prize. He was nominated again this time around for this album, but he didn't win it. But I think I've listened to his previous catalog, and it's kind of not. This new record of his is unlike it. It's kind of, he tries out some new stuff, and I think it's phenomenal. So Patrick Watson, Love Songs for Robots. It's probably my favorite album.
I'll have to check that one out. I missed that one.
Yeah, it's good. I've heard it as well. I don't think I've listened to it enough to be as well acquainted with it as Jonathan is, but yeah, it's really good.
He's got moments on there where one of the last two songs. It's just like the song builds, and all of a sudden he just hits there are these two guitar notes. It's just two guitar notes that he hits it, and it's like, oh shit, yeah, that's it. It's amazing what just two guitar notes can do to you. It can just tear you out.
Yeah. Now, you said you saw Courtney Barnett live too, right, this year?
Yeah, she opened for Belle and Sebastian.
How was she live?
Oh, great. I mean, they came out, no frills, like kind of in front of the curtain, and
it's a trio, right?
Right. Yeah.
And she plays a Jaguar a lot, doesn't she?
Right. Yeah. I think it's a Jaguar. Yeah, I think so. Or a Jag Stang.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, because when I've seen pictures of her, I've seen her on a Jaguar. And
Kurt Cobain guitar.
Yeah, she gets a good sound out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of.
Doesn't play with a pick.
Jay Mascis played a Jaguar too a lot, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, she doesn't play with a pick, you said?
Right, I don't think she does.
Yeah. Yeah, no, she rips, man. I mean, if to transition to mine here, I guess, I've got 5, and I'm going to post some more on our Facebook page, like ones I dug,
Yeah.
But these are the 5 if I had to whittle it down to my 5 favorites. If you would have asked me like a couple months ago what the best record was of like my favorite record of this year, I would say Courtney Barnett. But I think maybe looking at some of my other choices, she might have better songs, but these other albums might be better start to finish, if that makes sense. I think, like Jonathan had mentioned, I think she's a hell of a songwriter, and it's really raw. She's got a lot of energy. She's kind of funny too. Some of the lyrics are like they're smart, but they're pretty funny.
Oh yeah,
as well.
Yeah, she's witty.
Witty's a better word. Yeah. So yeah, she's a really new, strong voice that's emerged, and I really look forward to what she's going to do next. I'm really excited about what she does next because, like maybe even like give her like a little more production, even to like see what that record would sound like.
Yeah, because I felt like the production came a long way in between her first record, and this new one.
Yeah, have you heard her, Levi, or have you?
I've listened to like one or two of her songs online, and I dug it, but I don't stream. I'm not signed up. I'm like the last person on the planet not signed up on a streaming service.
Sure,
they still make the hard copy. Don't worry.
Yeah.
And so I need to get into her more because definitely all the reviews and things I hear about her tend to be positive.
Yeah, I mean, she's of the albums that we're talking about, she's the one that's usually like the few lists that I've looked at from like Rolling Stone and whatever else, she's up there. It's like usually like that one's in the top 5 or so. So yeah, she would be one of my favorites. I mean, like I said, I think she wrote the best songs, but I don't know if it's necessarily my favorite album. It's one of them. There's this other record. There's this record I like a lot. It's a side project there's a band called Wooden Ships, and they've got a side project. I don't know. Like I said, I don't really know much about these guys, but there's an album, Moon Duo is the name of the side project, and I think it's really good. It's it's kind of psychedelic. The guitar works good. I hear like a little bit of a Doors influence too, in a strange way. So I really like that Moon Duo record. Actually, I gotta barely remember what that one's called. Sorry. It is. Hold on. Jesus. Let me set it up today. Yeah. Shadow of the Sun, I'm sorry, is the name of it. Shadow of the Sun's the name of the record by Moon Duo. And then Riley Walker, I liked a lot. I know it's a guy that both of you have heard, who's from Rockford, actually, and has relocated to Chicago. He is, that record, he says he really wears his influences on his sleeve, and that's pretty obvious. But like he's derivative of all the right things. If he's derivative, you know what I mean? like if you're going to be derivative of Nick Drake and John Martin, and who I think like that's the guy he resembles the most to me, and Mark Knopfler, and maybe even like some kind of Richard Thompson, maybe a little bit, that's fine, because I don't think there's a lot of other 25-year-olds that really like John Martin a lot. So I love the Riley Walker record, Primrose Green, a lot. Van Morrison, a little bit of that influence in there too. Probably the most fun record that I liked this year was, and Levi, I know you picked up this one too, the Mark Ronson Uptown Funk.
Yeah.
I think it's really good.
Yeah,
absolutely. It's one, there's a lot of people working on it.
It's slick.
It's a collaborative affair. Like Mystical's on it,
that song is excellent.
That song's awesome. Yeah. But I really like it. Like, Levi had alluded to, it's really well, the production on it's really well done. It's definitely a lot of work went into it, you can tell. And he was a guy, I wasn't really that familiar with prior to this record coming out. And I love it. I think it's a great album. And the album that, maybe I think is the best start to finish. I talked about him on our last episode, I think. it's good name too, since he's a baseball player, has the same name. A guy by the name of Mark McGuire, who just really kind of does instrumental. Like some of his songs have choruses, but it's certainly the most ethereal record that I heard this year. It's just really beautiful, start to finish. And he, like I mentioned, he plays all the instruments. I mean, he's it's not just a guy like on a MacBook or something like that. He plays all the instruments and everything. His album Beyond Belief is, it might be inching up there towards my favorite. And it's rare that I would choose an album that doesn't really have lyrics on it. But it's just, I don't know, Kind of Blue doesn't have any lyrics on it as well, and it's awesome, right. So yeah, the Mark McGuire is it would be between him and Barnett, being like, if I had to pick, it's definitely between those two. But yeah, Mark Ronson, Mark McGuire, Riley Walker, Moon Duo, and Courtney Barnett would be my choices. And then there's another couple, probably 15, 20 records, other ones that I liked a lot.
That Tame Impala record was everywhere.
That was too. Yeah, it shows their diversity. Those guys, they're
honed in.
Yeah, they are. Really, I don't know if you guys heard it or not. And it's someone that I've never really been drawn to. I think he's funny, but the Marilyn Manson record's pretty good.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. You were telling us about that.
It's not bad. It's not bad at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that one a lot. I'll share some others online because
we'll
there's a handful of others that I really dug too. But those five really stand out to me. Thanks. Yeah. So if you haven't yet, check them all out. And we'll post some others that we like. We'll post some videos, things like that. That everybody can check out as well. And also, hopefully, if you have records or our listeners out there that you really dug and we didn't mention them, or if it's just, want to reinforce some of the ones we did mention, please post those.
Yeah, enlighten us.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So now we'll get to the portion where we talk about a recommendation here. This is our bullpen session. So, Levi, I'll start with you, man. What have you heard lately that you like?
I'm going to talk. This is fresh off my my press. I just got this today at the local record shop here in town, and I walked in, was thumbing through their new arrivals area, and it is Professor Longhair's Crawfish Fiesta.
Nice.
Wow.
Which it's from 1979 or 80, and it was his last record actually before he passed away. And Dr. John is the guitar player on it, and it is excellent. I listened to the whole thing when I got home. It's just, if you don't dance or like have a smile on your face while you're listening to it, you're not doing it right. You know what I mean? It's that type. Like, a lot of people say he was kind of like one of the unsung fathers of rock and roll, because if you listen to some of his songs, a lot of the like patterns and rhythms and stuff, sound like they could have been early rock and roll. And I think he originally would. There's songs on here like Big Chief and Bald Head. I think those came out in like the early 50s, like
wow,
literally like 1951 or something. So like
that's
he was
crazy.
He was on the cusp.
Wow.
Yeah.
Ahead of its time.
Yeah.
Good. Oh, cool. Good deal.
Yeah.
Good find. Yeah. Wow. Nice.
I'm going Christmas on everybody here, and
it's appropriate.
Yeah. And I'm gonna nominate Shin-Him's a very Shin-Him Christmas album.
That's a holiday favorite around this household.
Sure. Yeah. I bought the first Shin-Him record mainly because of M. Ward, and because I was a big fan of M. Ward, and then to hear Zooey Deschanel sing and Steal Your Heart, and she's a bass, and their renditions. If you haven't heard M. Ward before, he's he can be pretty lo-fi at the same time, like composing things. He's very he can be very meticulous. He can give you a very distinct sound, and he's very good at executing it. And
I haven't heard that. I'm gonna have to check that out.
Yeah, check it out.
Really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, come on. Does it get much better than her? What does she not do? Right?
No,
she's
right.
She's probably like an awesome cook. She like sews.
And you know, when I listen,
like, fuck, Zoe, give some shit up.
I know, and then when you listen to those She and Him albums, the non-Christmas ones, and you hear those songs, I just assumed stupidly that M. Ward was writing those songs, but she is writing those songs, and so she's a pretty stellar songwriter.
She knows what she's doing.
It's like total package.
Yeah.
Cool. Mine is I don't know if you guys are familiar with him or not. It's a guy that I'll mention just what the live record that I heard because I haven't explored his studio stuff all that much yet. But have you guys heard Steve Hillage by any chance or heard of? He was a guy. He's still alive. In the Canterbury scene, from the late '60s, early '70s, and really like.
Oh, okay. I thought you were like Canterbury Tales.
No, the Canterbury
this is lute music.
Yeah, right. No, the Canterbury kind of prog psychedelic scene from the late '60s, early '70s. So everybody up in Kent, was hanging out then. Like Soft Machines, probably like the biggest name to come out of that, and then Gong as well.
Yeah. Soft Machines got some classic prog records.
Yeah,
for sure.
Well, Hillage played with Gong.
Okay.
But then like he played with some other people as well. Like he played with Mike Oldfield as well. I don't know if he played with Camel maybe too a little bit. I think.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, other Canterbury scene bands like Caravan was one. Gong, who I mentioned earlier. So yeah, it's a cool scene, and I highly recommend it for those folks who like prog, but also kind of maybe like a little more psychedelic, maybe than like sort of kind of the classical influences of prog. Yeah. It's got less of that.
Yeah.
So he came out of there, and he put out some pretty interesting albums in the mid to late '70s that were kind of jazz fusion as well.
I'll have to check them out.
So this album that I heard recently is a live record of his, and it's from '78, and it's called Live at Deep Valley. So it was a music festival. And it's his live set, and it's really good. And he's got another live record that's him live at Madison Square Garden, which I assume he was opening for someone at that time. So and it's from the mid '70s as well. So yeah, Steve Hillage, Live at Deep Valley is the live record that I heard that turned me on to him. But I'm digging his studio stuff as well. It's it's. Yeah, like I said, prog, kind of fusion, kind of jazzy, but also it can be kind of folky at times too. Yeah, he's a pretty talented cat, pretty eclectic musician. So yeah, Steve Hillage is his name. So yeah, check him out. And then also, one thing I was going to mention as well, if I can sneak this in, I stumbled across this. I'll put a link to it. This cool website, and it's just a music fan from Indiana who's been attending shows since the late '70s, and it's called otherpeoplesmusic.net, and it's like he or she will post like the ticket stub as well as like the T-shirt, because they bought a T-shirt at every single concert. Going all the way back to like the late '70s up until some more recent concerts as well. So it's otherpeoplesmusic.net. It's just a really fun site. They write a concert review too. What made me mention it was Levi had mentioned Rory Gallagher, and he's got one on here in Rush '82 with Rory opening. So
wow,
awesome. Yeah. So at Market Square Arena, I believe. So yeah. Otherpeoplesmusic.net. Check it out. It's just a really fun site. Yeah, the T-shirts are there, the ticket stubs are there. It's really cool.
Cool.
So yeah, check that out. And then also you can check our podcast out on Twitter and Instagram at Rock In Chew. That's Rock In as in Pat Benatar, right? I mean, she's on here as well.
Okay.
I know. Yeah, it's kind of yeah. I know. It's got her from '81. He saw with David Johansen opening.
Yeah.
That's and you assume that's like Poindexter phase, right?
Right. Yeah. Or it's got to be creeping towards that. I don't know if he was full on yet.
He wasn't feeling hot just yet.
Yeah, not yet, but he was. It's post New York Dolls. So yeah, his in between Dolls and Buster.
He made it into the new Bill Murray Christmas special.
Nice.
Yeah, he's in there.
Reviews on that out there.
Oh, it's fun. It's fun. I mean, for what it's trying to do, it's fun.
Yeah,
it's 50 minutes.
Yeah,
give it a go.
I've heard parts of it are tough to watch. I haven't seen it all, but I haven't watched it, I should say. But yeah,
Phoenix is in it. The band
like
Phoenix.
The band?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Huh.
Cool. Check it out.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so yeah, check us out at Rock In Chew, and then also you can find all of the archived episodes as well as links to concert performances and albums that we've discussed on the show at our website rockchew.com. So yeah, check that out, rockchew.com, and please like us on Facebook. Tell all of your friends, please. And hope everybody has a great holiday season and a happy new year. We'll see you after the first of the year. So we'll be back then, and yeah.
We'll maybe drop a little special something on you all.
That's right. And then also, yeah, we've got a couple. We're working on a couple kind of sort of B-sides type episodes that will be rolling out soon as well, that I think everybody will enjoy. So you'll hear more about those soon as well. So yeah, have a safe holiday season, and we'll see you soon. See you in the new year. Take care.
Peace.
Bye.
Bye-bye.